Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica, Compassion Over Killing's vegan food and lifestyle coach, and welcome to session 2 of Vegan Meals on the Go. This episode is Noodles on the Go, and today I'm going to be showing you 3 recipes for some noodle dishes that you can pack in ramen jars and take with you and enjoy any time of the day. Now, these recipes can also be made at home and you can enjoy them for dinner, but they're really cool to pack them up in mason jars as well, and you can prepare them when you get to lunch, and all you need is hot water because you've done your prep at home. So as you can see, I have a variety of vegetables here today and all sorts of cool ingredients that I'm going to tell you about. But I just want to give you a rundown of the recipes that we're going to be creating today. So first up, we'll be making teriyaki jackfruit noodle soup. This is really flavorful and super duper duper simple. The teriyaki jackfruit can be done either from scratch using the seasonings I'm going to show you, or you can use a pre-packaged jackfruit, that has teriyaki seasoning. I'll be displaying that today as well. So you can take whichever route you like. The next dish I'm going to be making is a red curry rice noodle soup. And so we're going to be using rice noodles and all sorts of veggies. And the cool thing about these recipes is that honestly, with all of them, you can look at what I have here and use exactly what I use, or you can swap in your favorite vegetables. So they're very versatile. And I just want to give you some ideas that are going to serve as a spark point or a jumping off point for when you're creating your recipes at home. And then the last one I'm going to make is a very veggie miso ramen soup. So yeah, this one's super simple. We're going to use some spiralized vegetables. So that will be our most simple dish, and I'll save that one for last. So I'm just going to give a little bit more time for some people to tune in. And actually, you know what? Let's just get started now, okay? So like I said, the first dish that we're doing today is our jackfruit teriyaki noodle soup. So in this case, I'm going to be using this product from the Jackfruit Company. This is their teriyaki flavored jackfruit. So if you're not familiar with jackfruit, jackfruit is a tropical fruit that's found in countries like Brazil and also in areas like Southeast Asia. And it has a naturally meaty texture. So it's very sweet when it's ripe, but before it gets ripe, it has a more neutral taste. It has a bit of a tang to it, but it's used in lots of savory dishes across the vegan community of culinary innovators. And so we're going to be using this very simple prepackaged product today, but you could also go to Trader Joe's or Asian market in your town and get jackfruit in brine. And then you just want to rinse that and chop it up so it's nice and textured, and you can use that very simply as well. So before we crack this open and start assembling our first jar, I'm going to make our teriyaki seasoning blend. So I'm going to pull up my mixing bowl and my spoon. And what we need here, we have a measuring cup. So I'm just going to measure out 4 simple ingredients that are going to give us a lot of flavor for this dish. Once again, the emphasis is on simple preparation because we want these to be things that you feel empowered and motivated to make. So these are very simple ingredient combinations that you can make your own, certainly. So let's start off with teriyaki sauce. So teriyaki sauce has a bit of a tangy, smoky, sweet flavor, adds lots of depth of flavor. And we're going to use 1 tablespoon of this for this recipe. So let me set my measure. And you can see it's kind of thick. I don't know if you can see, but it's a bit thick. So we're just going to add that 1 tablespoon of teriyaki sauce. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of our tamari sauce. You could also use soy sauce. You could use liquid aminos that are made from soybeans, but you could also use coconut aminos. So I'm going to open up our tamari. And so far, both our teriyaki sauce and our tamari sauce are gluten-free. So if you are gluten-free, this is a great recipe that you can use. I'm going to be using just regular fettuccine noodles in this recipe, but you could certainly swap it out for something like rice noodles or kelp noodles, which are made from seaweed. You could use all kinds of things if you want to make this a gluten-free recipe. So we've got our teriyaki and our tamari. Now we're going to add about a half teaspoon of sesame oil, maybe even closer to a 1/4 teaspoon. Sesame oil gives a really nice toasty, nutty flavor, but I don't want to overuse it because it is pretty pungent. So I think I'm going to use a little bit closer to a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, and you can smell that right away. So this is going to be really delicious. And then I also have here chicken salt. So chicken salt is a spice that is commonly used in Australia. People use it on fries and all kinds of things down there, but it does have like a bit of a chicken bouillon flavor, but this is 100% vegan. So don't worry, there is no chicken being used in this recipe. You can find this spice on Amazon.com. And I'm using about a half teaspoon of this because we already have tamari sauce in here. So we don't want this to be too salty. There are going to be a lot of veggies in here. So, and there's going to be broth. So we do want it to be flavorful, but we don't want to overdo the salt. So when I was shopping for this recipe, I knew that I wanted to have my jackfruit and I knew I wanted to have my veggies. So I have here coleslaw mix. This is one of my favorite things to use in recipes because it has usually 2 types of cabbage and carrots. And you can even get broccoli slaw, which also has broccoli stems and tips in it. And so the chopping's done for you. It's really affordable. It gives nice fiber and volume to your dish. And it's inexpensive and it doesn't require a lot of work. I also have 1 bag of frozen mixed vegetables. So this has sugar snap peas, broccoli, and carrots in it. So this is really affordable as well. And you have tons of variety of veggies in this dish with almost no work. I also wanted to get edamame beans to add in here for, a protein boost. So you can certainly add in edamame if you're looking to punch up the protein in this dish. I just couldn't find any shelled edamame in the frozen section, but that's always a really easy add-in. And then, of course, we have our jackfruit. So with that, I think it's time to start assembling. So I'm going to start off with this jar, and I am going to go ahead and add our seasoning base to the bottom of the jar. Just as a reminder, if you're just tuning in, this is a combination of sesame oil, teriyaki sauce, tamari sauce, and about a half teaspoon of chicken salt. So we add that in the bottom. And then I'm going to do another layer with the coleslaw mix. So we're going to put that right into our jar. I'm probably going to use about a half cup of this. I'm eyeballing it here, but ultimately it comes down to what your preference is and what kind of veggies you like and how much you want in there. So we've done that. Okay, and now I'm going to add in our veggies. I think it's easier to just use my hands. So clean hands in the kitchen mean it's cool to cook with your hands when you need to. So yeah, we're going to add plenty of mixed vegetables. Okay. And then we're going to add in our jackfruit. So get this open. Here we go. So we've got our jackfruit here, and I'm going to go ahead and scoop that in. So got our jackfruit. I'm probably going to add in about a half cup of this. If you're curious about the nutrition information on this particular product, a suggested serving size of this jackfruit is 1/2 cup. It has 140 calories. It has a total of 5 grams of fat, 20 grams of carbohydrates, and 3 grams of protein. And there are also 6 grams of fiber. So that's really great. But this is a whole plant, so that's going to be helpful with that. And just the ingredients on this particular packaged product are young jackfruit, tamari soy sauce, brown sugar, water, pineapple juice concentrate, onion, toasted sesame oil, sesame seeds, ginger, garlic, cornstarch, and salt. So there are several of the ingredients that we use to make our own sauce that are already in the jackfruit, so the flavors reinforce one another. So that's really nice. So I'm going to go with the package suggestion and use about 1/2 cup of jackfruit here. And also 1/2 cup of jackfruit in this package. That means there are 2.5 servings of that. So this is about 1 1/4 cups of jackfruit for your reference. Yeah, so we've got our jackfruit. And then we're going to top this off with our noodles. So these are just fettuccine noodles that I boiled. I cooked them al dente. I didn't want to overcook them because, when you're assembling this, you're going to pour hot water on and let it sit for at least 10 minutes for all the flavors to come together. So I didn't want to overdo it with cooking these because I didn't want the noodles to become mushy. So yeah, I'm probably going to end up using about a 1/2 cup of the noodles. There we go. And you just layer them in. And just like that, you have your first noodle dish all ready to go to be packed up for your lunch. So this is our teriyaki jackfruit noodles right here. We have a seasoning sauce. We have coleslaw mix. frozen mixed veggies that have been rinsed and thawed, jackfruit, and then fettuccine noodles. So that is our first noodles on the go recipe complete. Let me find something to wipe my hands off, and we'll move on to the next recipe. Okay, so let me know in the comments if you felt like that was a simple recipe that you want to give a try at home. And while you do that, we can move on to our next recipe. So next up, I'm going to make our red curry soup with rice noodles. So once again, we should start with our flavoring mix, right? So we're going to start off with this red curry paste. So this is Patak's original Taste of India. So this is actually Indian curry sauce, but you could definitely do a Thai curry sauce if that's a flavor mix you're into. This curry sauce includes things like canola oil, coriander, paprika, turmeric, cumin, tamarind, fenugreek, mustard, fennel, and cinnamon. So this is going to be super duper flavorful. So when you have a cool sauce mix or a spice paste like this, it makes it really simple to create flavorful dishes. So don't be afraid to look for some existing seasoning mixes that you might find in your international aisle of your grocery store. So a suggesting serving size for this is 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to eyeball something close to that. And it smells really pungent. When you open it up, it smells really good. So we've got that ready to go. And then we're going to keep this pretty simple. So I'm going to add in about, let's say, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic salt. And then I'm also going to add in maybe about a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger powder. So once again, you see that there's already garlic and ginger in the curry paste we're mixing. So I chose to pick a couple of the spices that were already in there and heighten them by adding extra seasoning powder. You could also use fresh minced garlic or ginger. That would be really, really nice. And we're going to use just a little bit of chili flakes. The heat is up to you. So some people like it spicier. I like to keep it pretty mild, but I do like a hint of heat. And then we have here coconut milk. So I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of coconut milk to this because this is a creamy red curry. Let's see. Ooh, there we go. So we're just going to pour that in. Sit that on top. All right. And we're going to mix this together until well combined. Now you can certainly add more coconut milk. In this recipe, I'm using full fat canned coconut milk. But if you want a lighter recipe, you could use coconut milk in a carton. You could use almond milk, rice milk, oat milk, whatever you like if you wanted to have a lower fat option. Or if you just don't have access to full fat coconut milk in the can, you can add more coconut milk if you want to, but I do want to be mindful of the fat content and not make this too rich. But if you want to add more, follow your heart, follow your taste buds. So yeah, here we have our well-mixed red curry mixture right here. And so we're going to take our jar and we're going to start assembling our red curry rice noodle jar. So we're going to start off by pouring our red curry sauce into the jar. Okay, just like that. And it smells really good. Okay, and then we're just going to start loading in our vegetables. So I'm going to put our mushrooms on the bottom just because I want them to absorb a lot of the flavor. So we have sliced mushrooms that we're adding. I'm adding here maybe about a cup of sliced mushrooms. You can adjust it to your preference. I'm also going to add in some diced zucchini. I'm going to add in some snap peas. I'm going to add in some broccoli here. Okay, and then I'm going to add in some scallions just for freshness. Cilantro would also be really good in here. So if you have fresh cilantro or parsley, that would be really nice add in. And then I have here rice noodles. So these are rice noodles that I got. And what I did with these was I put them into this dish. You can use a glass bowl at home. And I poured boiling water over the top and covered it with a lid or a plate just to let it soak. And I let it sit for about 10 minutes. So they're soft, but they're not, once again, mushy because you don't want to over soak them and then they'll be falling apart in your jar when it's time to eat your lunch. And half the fun of eating a noodle soup is slurping. So we want to keep our noodles long and slurpable. So I'm going to add about a cup of these noodles in. Once again, if you want your soup to be more noodly, use less veggies, add more noodles. Just that simple. Customize, customize, customize. Okay. And just like that, we've got our creamy red curry rice noodle soup ready to go. It's ready for us to add our water. Now, this particular recipe, I wanted to add in some cubed tofu to this as well, just to add in, once again, some protein and some extra texture. But the one I got from the store was spoiled. So you want to be mindful of that when you're shopping for these items. But also, you can go straight for the veggies, or you can add in tofu if you want to boost up your protein content. Or you could even add something like green lentils or red lentils or black lentils or something like that. So here we go. We have our rice noodles ready to go. And we will top them with the lid. You can throw them in your lunch bag and they're ready to put in your fridge at work. Perfect for lunchtime. So our last recipe might be even simpler than the last two I showed you, even though these were pretty simple. We're going to make a very veggie ramen soup. So what I'm going to do, as I have with the last two recipes, is start off with our flavor base. So we have here some miso. Miso is a fermented soybean and rice paste that is really full of flavor. It adds the umami pow to dishes. So I really like adding this. It has a really good mouthfeel. It's very fulfilling because the flavor is so deep and rich. So here we have our miso paste. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of this because that's the suggested serving size. So let's find our spoon. Okay. So we have 2 teaspoons of our miso. And then I'm going to add in about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic salt. Because even though this soup is very simple in terms of ingredients, we want to make sure it's full of flavor. So I'm going to follow that up with a couple dashes of ground ginger. I'm also going to add in some sesame oil, about a 1/4 teaspoon of this. Okay. And then I'm also going to add in about a teaspoon of tamari. Once again, just to round up the flavors. And then I'm going to add in about a couple tablespoons of water. So I have my water that's been sitting in the hot water kettle. And I'm just doing that so that the warm water can break up the miso paste and make sure all the flavors get well combined. So we're just going to stir this up. And this smells so good already. Okay, it's a little lumpy, so just be patient with it. You don't want to stir too vigorously at the outset or else you'll be splashing stuff everywhere. So this is probably the most complicated part of this recipe, is being patient when you're stirring the miso with the spices in the water so it doesn't splash everywhere. Alrighty. And we do want to make sure we do mix it thoroughly, because like if you get a chunk of miso in your soup, it's going to be really intense. So you want to make sure everything is mixed in really smoothly so that when the time comes to enjoy this soup, all the flavors are evenly and well distributed. Okay, so here we go. We've got our flavorful miso flavor base all done. And let me give that a taste with my finger. Really good. So the process is the same once again. We're going to start off by adding our miso flavor paste to the base of our jar. Okay. Set that aside. And then we're going to go with some mushrooms. I like to add the mushrooms very close to the flavor base just because I think, you know, they take on flavor so well and they have a nice meaty texture. So when the mushrooms get to soak up a bit of the seasoning a little bit more than other things, it just has a really nice effect when you're eating it. So I've added our mushrooms. I'm going to add in some more of our snap peas. Okay. And then let's see what else. We have so many options. I don't want to overdo it, but I'm going to add some of these mixed veggies in as well. This would be another soup that would be great with tofu or some tempeh. If you have it, feel free to add it in. And then what I did here was I took a zucchini and I created noodles. And you can certainly use a spiralizer if you have one, but I have this really cool peeler that has 3 settings. So one of them is serrated, one of them is just a normal peeler, and then there's this pronged side that when you peel with it, it creates very thin strips that are like noodles. So I'll try to show you some of it here. This is the noodles that we got from using that peeler. So I'm just going to top this off with these noodles. Zucchini noodles are great raw, but they're also nice in soups like this where they're not necessarily being boiled, so they don't get super mushy, but they get warmed through by soaking in the boiling water when you're creating your lunch or, getting it prepped for eating. So yes, definitely give zucchini noodles a try, and it's so inexpensive to make them at home. When you see pre-cut or pre-sliced zucchini noodles in the store, they're pretty pricey, and it's a pretty simple process to do it yourself. So invest in a spiralizer or a strip peeler or a julienne or something like that so you can make it for yourself. And you'll find so many new ways to eat not only zucchini, but carrots and cucumbers and all kinds of veggies. So here we have it. This is our final noodles on the go jar. This is our very veggie miso. So we have our miso flavor space at the bottom. Then we have lots of mushrooms, mixed vegetables, some snap peas, and then our spiralized zucchini. So this is how you would do. You would go ahead and create these in advance, whether it's in the morning, the night before, or, whatever your meal prep day is. Store them in your refrigerator. You could even freeze them. And then when it's time to eat, you pack them up and take them to lunch with you. And when you're ready to serve, you just add water. So let me go ahead and show you how to add the water. It's kind of a self-explanatory process, but let's take it through to the end with the demo. So we're just going to add our water here. And then you want to cover it with the lid and let it sit. And you may, let's see, if I can get this lid on securely, you may want to give it a gentle shake so that, the spices get well incorporated throughout the entire jar. So I'm going to do that now. And it's starting to move around. Yes, and look at that. It's really beautiful. Actually, if you look at it, it has lots of nice colors, which lets you know you're getting lots of vitamins and nutrients. And we'll get this one going and let it set aside. Let's do our red curry next. I think I'm going to run out of water, so I'll just do the red curry next. But yeah, you just fill to the top. I mean, obviously it depends on what thickness you want or how much broth you like. You could do less broth if you don't like as brothy of a soup. But yeah, so I'm going to just, once again, tighten this lid up. Give it a gentle shake. All right. And then you just let this sit for about 10 minutes for all the flavors to come together, and you have a beautifully flavorful lunch. And if you're going to order something like this at a restaurant, this would easily cost you $10 or more. But when you're making it at home, all these recipes are under $5 per serving. So it's super duper duper affordable as well. So here we have our 3 vegan noodles on the go recipes. Be on the lookout in your email for the recipes so you can make it at home for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and I look forward to catching up with you for session 3, our final session of Meals on the Go, which is That's a Wrap, where I share with you 3 savory rolled up recipes. So yeah, be on the lookout in your email for these recipes, plus information about the next session, and I will see you next time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for lots of other content. This exclusive cooking series is lots of fun, but we have lots of public content too. So if you're always looking for new recipes, visit dryveg.com. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.